also cover a little bit of RAG there. So it's interesting to see if you understand it all after the session. Let me share my screen already. All right, I think you should be able to see my screen right now. Yeah, so before we start into how we make a RAG pipeline, because that's why we're here, to make something, and I assume the most of you know what it means, let's have a little recap so we all are on the same page. So RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, in a nutshell, what is it? It's just basically you augment your response that you get back from the large language model, from the call that you make to, for example, GPT. How do we augment this? By adding our own data into it and telling him respond with the data that I gave you. That's basically what RAG is. We feed data to the large language model and ask him to respond with an answer based on that data. Okay, cool. So pretty simple. Basically, it's not much, but how do we make this in a productive pipeline, right? How can we make this properly? Well, I have a small flow chart here to go over the basics and what we will be making as well. So we start with an OutSystems application, obviously. We can forget about this one, the memory check. This is something I made for my customer. It's just some little validation if you already asked the same question, that we don't run the whole pipeline again. But yeah, you can forget about it for now. So we go to the Azure AI Search. This is one of the tech stacks that we'll be using. That's one of the components from Azure. What does this mean? The Azure AI Search, it is like a component that has multiple features and capabilities, and we will be using a small part of it, which is the index. As you can see, we will query an index which is located in the search, and it will give us back chunks. Chunks is the data that we want to use to get an answer on our question, the query, the prompt back from. So these like 3 pieces, 3 chunks, and we feed it to the large language model in the next part. We feed it to the large language model with our query or our prompt or our question. It will go into the workbench and it will give back a response. So that is basically what it is. We are going to make this right now together. If you have a question when something is not clear and you think it might take some time to answer it, keep it for after the demo. If it's a small thing, we can always answer it during the demo. It's fine. But I think there's also a Q&A at the end of the session. All right, so how do we start? Well, you don't need any Azure knowledge. I've prepared a sandbox environment in my Azure tenant to show you how you make it. It's super simple. Anyone can do it. So when you're in your Azure, you need some permissions and stuff like that. I guess the one managing your tenant can give you that. You go to the Azure Search, AI Search. We create a new search service. For this, you need a subscription. A subscription means like a plan where your payments go through and stuff like that. What we make can be free. So you can actually make this for free, right? To continue, you have to choose your subscription model and a resource group. Well, we don't have one, so let's create one. Let's call it a Pune demo. There we go. So I have a new resource group. Give it a name. I'll give it a name again. I think it has to be small letters. Let's see what it does. At least 2 characters. Pune demo. And then location. Well, obviously, I'm going to choose location close to me. Europe West, preferably. Do we have that? Best Europe. All right, so that's it. Let's create it. So, yeah, you can choose your pricing tier here. I have standard, which costs some money, but you don't need to choose that. You can always choose the free one here, where you have 3 indexes, 3 indexers, some storage. This should be enough for our demo. I just picked the one I'm used to because I know it will work, right? I don't want to get the classic demo bugs. All right, we just created. Shouldn't take too long. You can see it's working on it right in the corner top, and there we go. We have it. Basically, this is it. This is it for Azure. Like I told you don't need knowledge, you don't need expertise. Obviously, if you have it, you might know the indications of everything that we're making here, but for a demo purpose, this is perfectly fine what we have now. I'm going to wait till it's made because I want to show you something about the indexers, and the skill set. So what we are going to make now in Azure is a search service that has certain capabilities. Let's see if I can already see it. There we go. And you can do a lot with it, right? What we are going to do is make an index. What is an index? In really simple terms, it's just like a container that contains your data, the data that you want. It's not a query database. It's not like a file explorer. It's like really a container that just stashes the data for you. It's not the intention to literally go into the index yourself and look for it. I guess it's still working on the making the search service. So that's an index. What's an indexer then? Because it's kind of sort of seems the same thing. An indexer is just like, imagine if you have data in your SharePoint and you want it in your index, then you can use an indexer to transport it from location A to location B. I also use this in different projects to go from Amazon to Azure, to go from a local file storage to Azure. You can do this to transport data. You can do more things with it, but that's how we could use it. And then we have a skill set. And while you transport the data, you can also manipulate the data. So when it's in your container, in your index, it's stored properly. I'm sure everyone has heard of the thing on LinkedIn or other places where they say, yeah, everyone is talking about RAG, but no one talks about the proper data management in the data sources, right? And this is one of these things. Like we have to store our data properly, so we can use a skill set to store the data in chunks with proper metadata. Now, I keep getting this crazy error here, which I obviously didn't have when I test this whole environment. You know how it goes. So let's hope it just goes away after some time. So what do we see here? An URL that we will be using for our API calls. And we have a keys, API keys. These are the two things you need from this place. So if you don't set it up yourself, you can always ask the one who sets it up for you to give it to you. Okay, so this is the part of Azure. Pretty simple, straightforward. We are only going to use the indexes for now. We're not going to use other things. We are going to chunk our data ourselves, and we're going to put it in here ourselves as well. Okay, cool. So what do we do now? Now we want to check the APIs that we will be using to do this, right? Because if we put our data in here, we will be using APIs. That's really more our thing, right? We can do this in OutSystems. That's perfect for us. We love consuming REST APIs, right? So to give you a little insights in the documentation, as you can see here, when you go to the documentation of Azure Search, it says a lot, right? This is so overwhelming, I know, because I had the same thing when I was looking for it, crazy. But when you find it, it's not that big of a deal. So the moment you get here in the right place of the documentation, you can see the few methods that you can use for the index. We will be using the create, which is basically just this pathing here. That's it, basically. And the endpoint is what we have seen in the Azure environment, which is this, right? So now we have the full API call that we need to create our call in OutSystems. Well, since this is obviously authenticated with the API key that I showed you, I want to test this in Postman first. Why? Because in OutSystems, when you authenticate with an API key, if you want to test it directly, you probably have to hard code it or something, and I will have to show you guys, and I don't want to do all these things right now. So I'll just show you in Postman, and then we will add it in OutSystems. Let me open a new one. So, okay, recap, we have our Azure. We are going to place an index in the Azure search. We are going to fill it with data, and then we're going to query it. We are going to do this all in OutSystems. But first, I want to test if it works, what we have set up. So I'm going back to my Azure, and I'll take this one and place it in here. I think it's a put that we are using. Then I'm going to here and take this. Because I am using an older version, I'm just going to copy paste it from somewhere else where I know it works. But you can use different versions, like you can see here. I'm using one from 2023 because that's when I made this for the first time. I love doing these random things sometimes. So let me grab the API call that I'm using. It makes it easier for me. There we go. Okay, I got it copy pasted. There we go. So this is dynamically, obviously, right? We don't want to make this static in our environment, but let me just make it easy and write new index in here. Okay, cool. So we have this. We also need a body. Well, to find this stuff, well, it was really hard for me because I'm not an Azure expert. I had to make an index manually myself in here and then take the JSON. Nope, I can just try it out here, right here. So I had to make it manually. Let me just give you an example how it looks like. Can I just do this and create it? Maybe it's been so long when I've made this. This is in a way. Can I move this? No, let me show it differently. Let me take something else. Let me show it in the Postman. That's easier than making it there manually. So this is the JSON that you need to create it. But I had to figure this out myself, which is a pain in the ass if you don't know how to do this in Azure. But now it works. I know how it works, and I'm going to show you guys. But if you do this manually, it's not as easy. So we love to stick with the APIs, right? So this is the request body to make a new index. What do we see here? A name for the new index. And then the fields. Which kind of data fields do you want to add to the data that will be added into this index, right? If you're going to save data in this index, it needs some fields that we can use. I keep it really simple just for demo purposes. I have an ID and a content field. They're both strings. They're sortable, filterable. Don't ask me what face table is. I saw it yesterday when I was testing it all again. I was like, I have no clue. Yeah, it is there. It is what it is. You can look it up if you want it. I didn't choose it at least so far. Then we have the semantic part, which is like one of the more important things that we are doing because we want to have a smart querying, right? We want to query smartly, not let's just look on terms and on literal matches, but we want like meaningful results, right? That's what LLM does as well, right? So what do? We make a semantic search configuration with a name, which is important because we will use this later on, and we tell them like on what do we want to search, right? On the content, and we have a title field ID. So this is just you just make this once, and then you can tweak it later if you don't feel like it's properly done. I'm sure the documentation tells you how to make a really good example for your use case. But this works perfectly for the simple stuff, right? The things for the most use cases. So okay, so now we have the index. Let's see if it works. No, probably not because we didn't add the authorization, which is an API key, and we have seen this API key before, right? Let me go back to it. Which is here. Keys. So these are keys. We can just copy it and paste it here. Let me delete this and paste a new one. I know. Fingers crossed that it works on the first time. If it doesn't, I'm gonna cry. Of course it doesn't. Oh yeah, because I hard-coded new index in here, right? But my name is not new index. It's my new index, which is probably something I tried before. Let's see if it works now. There we go. Okay, cool. It worked. We get a 201 created, and this is what you get back. This is the response for an index. So you can see you have a lot of properties that you can add into the request body of your index to fine-tune your own index, right? It's crazy. You can do tons of it. We will get back to some parts of it, but yeah. So I made it really simple, but you can make it as complex as you want almost. Okay, cool. So this works. We know it works. We have made an index. Let's see if Azure wants to show us because it was giving us some errors. Oh, there he is. See, there he is, new index, and we made it, right? We didn't choose the interface with this whole user interface where you have to make your own JSON later on. We just did it with an API key, and which is it's so much easier, right? So yeah, cool stuff. So now we know this works. We have two more APIs that we will call, the one where we feed data to it and where we retrieve it. So let's make the second one. Let's copy paste this, go to here, make a post, and let me steal that link as well. So I need to make it myself again. There we go. Okay, and I'll do this. There we go. So, okay, cool. So now we have our versioning here. I have to change something. Yeah, let me see. I forgot something important, actually. Oh, my bad. I need this. And then this is a new index, I think, right? How did we call it again? New index? Yeah, new index. There we go. So, okay, we have new index in here. All right, so we have 2 dashes here, which is not good. Okay, so we also need the body here. I'm just going to copy paste again because otherwise it will take way too long to set it all up. Is it this one? No, it's this one, I think. The body. Okay, that's not that much actually if you think about it still. Let me put it in here. So what do we see in this body? What does this body mean? Well, we are going to put data into our index, and it's pretty simple. What do? We do an upload action to the index, new index, and we add a piece of data. We have the ID and we have the content. I'm kind of abusing my ID to have my source in it, which is kind of stupid, but just for demo purposes. I also have it tested with, you can add like one more field, which is like source, for example, right? And add like this. But then you also need to add this in your index, obviously, right? So we made the index without it. So you should add it in here as well. You can do that. That's no problem. It's literally the same thing. You can do as many as you want, actually. So there we go. Also here we need authorization. So let's add the API key. I'm not sure if I have the correct one. Sometimes it takes the API key from a different method for some reason. I'm also not a Postman expert or something. So I'm just going to go back to my keys and make sure I have the correct one. There we go. And let me Control A, delete it, and put it back. There we go. Okay, let's see if this works. All right, cool. It worked. We have put it in there. And then it's saved with the key, which was the ID, right? So if you now change the content, right, it will override this one because, you have the same ID. So you have to make a new ID if you want that. So let's make a new ID, like 6, and add something different, random text. We love user groups, right? And send this as well. There we go. Now we have added 2 pieces. I want to show you later on in the Azure environment that it's there. Sometimes it takes some time because there's like a refresh period in Azure, and you will see there will be like a count of 2 here. Actually, I can show you this as well now. Now the index is made. I can show you the JSON, and you'll see this is the JSON that we have seen, obviously. But here it was blank, so you had to fill it in yourself completely if you didn't do it with API, which I had to do the first time, and I was crying after some time. It was really struggling with random errors. Okay, so we have the index. We have put data in it. Let's see if you refresh it. It's not there yet. It takes some time, a few minutes sometimes. Okay, now we have an index, a container with data in it, and now we want to query it, right? Okay, so we need a third API call. We could just go and do the same thing. Or let me just take this one because I just actually the domain here. Make a new one. There we go. And let me steal this one as well. There we go. Okay, so now we have the third API call. This is again a new index. I think I made right. We need the body again. Let me get it from here. There we go. Let me delete this one as well. And this is also a post, by the way. Important, otherwise it won't work. Let's put it in here. So now you see we're gonna query our data. We search for something, a content, and we have a configuration. You see it's default in here. I think I left it on default here as well, see? So this name has to match, otherwise your semantic configuration won't be found. And what do we have? Captions. These are like resumes, small resumes of what you found, the top 3 items that you want, and which kind of content do you want to return content. We will be later seeing that we also want ID, for example, back, because we want to know what the source was of the chunk that we retrieved. Okay, so cool. That should work. Let's go to API key again. And again, I will just make sure that it works from the first time and take the key again here and delete this one and add it again. So I think this should work now. Let's try it out. But this won't return anything, I think. But let's see. This return something. Oh yeah, because I have the word testing in there, right? So what did it return? Which is important. It's an important part of RAG, obviously. what does it return and why does it return that specific content, right? This is an important part of RAG. How does the RAG pipeline in Azure work? Well, when you when you query an index, we will be using a lexical search, which is like literal terms matching each other. So if you have a query that is asking for testing, it will look for all the chunks in your index and return the top 50 chunks, the top 50 pieces of data with the most hits on testing, for example, because there's testing in it, or for the whole content hits, right? So the more the better. That's really literally just control Fing and see how good a hit is. That's what you do first, and that's a score that you get back. So this is a score.
Hey, Owen, can you please zoom in a little, like the
Oh yeah,
text?
sure. I think, can I zoom in Postman actually? Good question. Anyone knows how, if you can zoom in on Postman? I actually have no clue if you can zoom in here.
Seems like you're working on a very big screen, and all the text which is appearing as shared is quite small, so it's quite hard to read.
Anyone knows if you can zoom in here by coincidence? Let me see if I can put my resolution lower. But last time I tried to fix my resolution here, it just totally got boomed for some reason. So
Try Control Plus.
yeah, I tried zooming, but it didn't work. So I guess it's like kind of locked, or the shortcut doesn't work. No, you can't zoom with Control Plus either. Let me see if I can change my resolution. Oh, maybe the scale. What does this do? Oh, is better?
Yeah,
I kind of look. Okay, this is really ugly, but I guess this is better, right? Okay, so what do we see here? The score. It's a relative score, so it just compares your result against other results and other chunks. Obviously, it's relative. We only have 2 pieces of data, so this score doesn't mean a lot yet, but you can still use it as in, okay, he found something, but it's a relative low score, so probably it's not as good, which is true because we are just looking for testing and it only had 1 hit in this whole content. So yeah, it didn't find a lot of it. But yeah, this is only really good. It will only help you when you have a lot of data, a lot of pieces, because it's a relative score. Then you have a re-ranker score, and this is the interesting part. This is what we will be using. The re-ranker score is what we get back when we use semantic search. So what do we do? First, we look for the top 50 hits in our index. Literal hits. Like which will return high scores usually, because you want the top 50 ones. And then we take these 50 hits and we use a cross encoding search on it. It's like a pretty technical term. Basically just means it will look for the meaning. It will re-rank the top 50 items, hits. Oh my god, that's what's up. Let me close this one. Okay, it will take the top 50 ones and it will re-rank them based on meaning, and it will give them a score. The score can be between 0 and 4. Between 2 and 3 is pretty okay. Between 3 and 4, it's really good. It's really hard to get to that point, but you can get there. And then you have between 1 and 2, and it's like there's a relevance, but it's not a high relevance, but there is a relevance. So what do we see here? We see 1.6. So we have queried testing more stuff, and it returns is cool but not needed, so I don't do anything interesting. Am I happy? Shallow live testing. It's really a meaningless sentence, right? So the meaning between this sentence and the prompt is obviously really small, right? We can test this by maybe doing something interesting. I will show you. Let's add this as a piece of data, right? There we go. Let's make this 7. Edit. Okay, now it's there. So when I search this, I expect to get it back, right? There we go. And you can see instantly what the score difference is, right? You get an irrelevant score of 0.759. You won't get 1. It's a relevant score. It's not an absolute score, right? So it's relevant against other more variables than just other content. It's also based on filterable, searchable, and other things, all the things you've seen in your index. And then you have a re-rank score of 3, which is really good. That means this is actually really a meaningful hit with your query, which makes sense because yeah, we kind of like literally the same thing, right? Let me show you. If you just put this away, you will see it will drop to 1.9 because yeah, the meaning is like, it's hard to say if the meaning matches, right? Because there's no meaning in this one. So this is what I wanted to show you here, like how re-ranker work. So now you get to the grading part, which is really important in RAG. Is if you get like imagine we got these two back, and we say, oh no, I don't want hits back that are lower than 3. In that case, we can just say, okay, then we don't include these chunks in our LLM when we send it, right? So if you go back to like the image here, okay, if you go back to here, we get our chunks back, and we get them in OutSystems, and then we say, oh, we got 2 bad hits. We are not going to trigger this because we didn't get good information back. And you could say, okay, let's do it again. It's like self-RAG, smart RAG. We won't look into that right now. If you look at the one conference talk from last year, then you will understand it better. But yeah, that's what you can do with re-ranking. Okay, cool. That was a bit the theory. Let's make it now, actually, because that's why we're here, right? Okay, let's make a new app. It is always a bit scary, obviously, because, you know, making live things happen to break. But yeah, let's try it out. How much time do we have left, if I can ask?
Yeah, we have half an hour.
We have an hour. Half an hour. Okay. All right. So we have an app. Let's add the API calls, right? Consume. And we're just going to copy paste it from Postman, which is easy, right? Let's start with the index making. I'll keep it static for now. Well, maybe I can make this not static. Let's make this index name, I think. I want to try to match it with what I already prepared, so I can like easily copy paste when something doesn't work, right? That's the easiest thing to do. Okay, so now we need the body. Oh, this is so big. Let me make my screen smaller. It's like covering 2 whole screens here. Okay, now we need the body. We can steal that from my other body. That is a put. Don't forget it's a put. There we go. So this is a request. This is response. There we go. And let's. It's too big because I can't press on finish. And there we go. We have our first API call. We know this API call works, but we do need to add something else, which is authentication, right? So let's have an on before request. There we go. We go into it, and let me add something to it. It's pretty simple. I will explain everything when I make it. There we go. So we add to the headers an API key, but in the settings, so you can easily change it. So let's make the setting as well. API key. You gotta keep it a bit proper, right? So it doesn't feel super unprofessional. All right, so that's just the put index. Let's give it a different name because put index doesn't say that. Let's make it a create new index. I think that says more. Okay, next API call. It's a post, right? Let me go to Postman, which is to add the data. There we go. There we go. Oh, I found /too many. Also here, let me just steal this part from there so we know it works, right? There we go. Okay, so this seems good. New index. You can see I've hard-coded it here. It's fine. Let's just leave it like that so we know it works, right? You can make it dynamic later on. Okay, and now we are making a third one, which is also a post. And that's the queryable one. Okay, this is this one. There we go. Let me take this and put it in here. And this is new index, I think, right? Was it with capital letter? I'm not sure anymore. Did I do it with capital letter? I think I did, right? I'm not sure though. Indexes. What I see? New document count 3. We added 3 pieces of information. New index without capital letter. Yeah, the capital is important because in our script later on, it will be capital sensitive. Obviously, it's hard coded now, so you know, doesn't really matter, but still. Okay, then we do this and we do this. So yeah, we finish this as well. Seems good. All right, so cool. We have everything. We have to add one more thing, one more input parameter, which is the content type. We can do it in here, I think, because Postman does that automatically, but we don't in OutSystems. I think you need to do it for both posts, right? Yeah, for both posts. And give it also the different name, maybe, because I don't like these namings. Content type. There we. Can you click, please? Thank you. There we go. So that's a post. So, okay. So I have our content type. Let's give it a different name, not post index, but add data to index. I think that makes more sense. And here we make it search index, maybe. Yeah, search index. Okay. Cool. All right. So we have our APIs. Cool. We know they work because we tested them before. We will test them in a bit again anyway. Let's already publish this, so we don't lose our work when it crashes. Okie dokie, we'll be waiting. I'll be copy and pasting a bit more from OutSystems just to save ourselves some time, but I will explain every step of it. Okay, so now we're going to make some server actions that will be using these API calls. Let's start with creating the index, right? So let's copy paste this one I have here. There we go. So what do we see here? Let me delete this one though. What I add here is that I also saved index names in my database, so I could, when I search index, I can choose which index I search. But that's not for this scope, right? So create new index name. We need, obviously, we have the input. What else is wrong? Anything wrong here? It's also small now, big now, so it's hard to see. Index name is correct, no? Oh, we are right. We made it dynamically. How did you call it? That's the question here, right? Create index. It's an integer. Why is it an integer? That's crazy, right? This name in it and makes it an integer. That's crazy. Okay, so let's also maybe add like just an exception under, right? With all exceptions, just to be sure. I love putting in breakpoints here as well. Okay, cool. So that's the first serve action. Basically, it just creates an index based on an input. As you can see here, let me make it bigger. I already filled it in with literally the same thing as that we had in Postman. You can make this differently, obviously, when you want to fine-tune this whole process, because sometimes you want to have default values like I have, but sometimes you want to make that dynamic, right? It really depends on how you create your dev back office, right? But now let's keep it simple. I think it makes sense how it is made like this. All right. So that's the first server action. Let's go to the second server action, which is send the data to the index. All right, cool. There we go. Send data to index. What do you see here? Okay, so what does this do? So we want to send data to the index, right? Like we did in Postman. This one, right? Yeah, upload. As you can see, it's an array, which means we can send multiple chunks at once, right? But you don't need to, but you can. But we do send a list of chunks because we don't want to call the server action 50 times because we will be sending a lot of chunks at the same time. So for this chunk list, we also need a structure. I have that prepared as well. Let's keep things go smooth. There we go. So this is a chunk. It's pretty simple. ID and content. I think you can remember why we have this. If you go back to the Postman, you can see ID and content, right? So that's pretty simple. So we have a chunk list and we just call the API, but you can do it in an array as well, right? I just actually noticed I didn't do it like this in my sample, but you can do it. So that would be obviously way more optimal than how I do it now. Okay, cool. So that's the add data. Now we're going to search the data. There we go, search data. It's pretty simple again. You have a question that goes in, the prompt, or whatever you want to call it, the query, and you want to get something out, which is a list of items, right? What's in there, score, re-rank, and content. Like I said, you can add ID to this as well. I didn't do it in this sample. Like I told you, you can have add ID in the index, or you can add ID in the output as well in here. you should be able to do so because it will come back as well. When you search the index in here, you should get like ID in here if you try it with the ID. So that would mean that you get it in here. Then we should have to add probably, and I'm just assuming this should work, right? Add an ID in here in your response body. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking, how it should be done. I can look up at it later, but yeah. But because we already have ID, we can ask it back, right? We already have it saved. All right, yeah. So we get the output. We don't need this one. It's literally the same, no? Am I stupid? That's literally the same. Okay, that's crazy. Classic OutSystems, I guess. That's copy pasting, right? OutSystems doesn't like copy pasting. Probably some people already knew that. All right, so we have our server actions. Let's save them. We have to set our API key as well, right? Because we have to put it as a setting. So let's do that. Let's get to that part. And let me see here. Let me go to OutSystems and my personal ODC. You have a lot of rubbish in here. Am I blind? Oh, there it is. And let's set the API key so it works. Let me go back to the keys here. I have done this so many times wrongly for some reason that I just get paranoid and just go back every time again. I didn't put it as a secret. That's really stupid of me. Let me put it as a secret, right? Otherwise, the whole purpose has been is gone. Okay, so well, we published this. What is the next step? Making the screens, right? Now we want to actually try it out. We want to see how it works in OutSystems if we do it. I also prepared some things for these, so we don't have to make every step one by one ourselves. We can just copy paste again a little bit. All right, it's published. Let's go back to here. It should tell me that it should be reloaded. Whatever it is. Now we can edit the API key in here. There we go. Save. Cool. Cool. All right, that's done. All right, let's get on to the screens. Okay, so we have our API calls, we have our server calls. Let's start with creating an index. Let's make a new screen. It's called create index, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. We don't need much here. We just need a button actually, right? I'm always looking for these things, but my screen is a little bigger now, so it's not on the same place anymore. And an input. That's all we need. You can make this better, right, by adding a scrollable drop down where you have saved your input names, so you know that you can't use it anymore and stuff like that. You can make it big. I did this for a customer. You have a huge dev back office with a lot of tools and features, but as long as you have this pipeline that we're making now, you have the most critical parts. Okay, so we add some stuff to this. Let me see that I get the same names and stuff in here. There we go. Variable index name, prompt, and I mean, that makes sense, right? But there we go. On click, we do the add index on click. What's in the add index on click? It's pretty simple as well. First, we check if it's filled in, makes sense, and then do a small regex, because index names has to be small letters. What's in the regex? Pretty simple. A simple pattern that just checks if it's all small lowercase or not. If it finds things that are not lowercase, you will get the message, only lowercase letters allowed. If it's fine, we go and create our index, right? So yeah, let's test it. Let's see if this already works. As you can see, setting up a pipeline for reg is less AI really, like LLM AI, and more like setting up configurations and stuff like that, which makes sense, right? Because setting up an LLM pipeline where you can just ask things to a chatbot is pretty simple and easy. OutSystems gives that out of the box almost, but setting up something that fits your use case is the hardest part. And then you need to know what kind of configurations you can make, right? So that's an important part of it. You don't need to use Azure, by the way. We are using Azure, but you can swap this for Amazon as well, for example. And there are probably tons of other tools that you can use for this. Okay, let's open it. Oh, let me give myself a rights to this, I guess. I always forget that part, and then I can log in. It's so classic, right? I'm not sure if I'm exposing stuff here. Maybe I should put it here just in case. I didn't think about that. And let's go to Pune. Manage roles. Save. Okay, cool. It should be fine now if I go back to here. All right, so yeah, back. Okay, give myself rights, so it should be fine. Let's see if I open this in the browser. Maybe I already did. No, I didn't. And can I just I think it's this one, right? I'm sure. They changed the login page, right? I think for new applications in ODC. All right, cool. So index name, let's try it out. OutSystem index, it's called like that. And see if this works. Well, I don't get any feedback. I don't have a callback. So let's just check it, I guess. I hope it worked. There we go. We made a new index. Rather easy, actually, right? It's not that hard. So cool, that works. Next is add data to it, right? Let's make a new screen. Add data to index. I'm going to maybe copy paste quite a bit from this just to make sure that it works from the first time, right? Let's see, can I just copy paste this one? There we go, and go to the widget tree and put it in main content. There we go. Let's select the file, and what do we else need is these ones. And this is a bit more complicated, but I will try my best to explain what I've made here. Well, obviously, this doesn't look complicated, right? But it's what is behind the actions. Alrighty. So what do we do with adding data to the index? Well, I've already shown you that we add chunks, right? But you're not going to add a chunk with a file of 100 pages, right? Because if you get that back as a hit and you put that in your LLM, your company won't be happy if your tokens are exploding suddenly, right? So you want to make smaller pieces out of this 100-page document. And you can do that in tons of different ways. You can Google this and you'll find probably like 100 different ways of chunking. What I do to keep it simple for now is I split the document into pages or into character size. So imagine you have 100 pages. You could say, okay, take 1 page for each chunk. You can do that. Or you can take 500 characters for every chunk. You can do that as well. There are multiple ways. Let's see how we did it or how we are going to do it, right? Before you start, I need some scripts because we are working with PDFs only. My sample only allows PDFs for this time to make sure that we have a consistent pipeline for now. And you can make it bigger and more advanced later on, right? So we need these scripts. These are just libraries that I put in here, right? It's nothing special. Yeah, I just needed them to run my my actions. So what do we do already? We tell them that the input only allows PDFs, right? So no one can make a mistake by accident. It's better to avoid than to fix, right? Then we go to the send data on click, and there's another problem in here. What's this problem? Oh yeah, right. I'll get to that point. So we go in here. What do we see here? It's not a big script, right? It's not that big. You don't need to know everything from this. I just want to point out a few things of this script. What do we see here is the important part are the config, right? The config is I have an overlap characters. What does this mean? Imagine you have 100 pages and you take 1 page for every chunk you send. If you then get a hit on 1 page, like at the end, the last sentence, but imagine that the last sentence was the start of a new paragraph. You would lose the biggest part of the paragraph, the content you actually need. So you get bad results. The overlap characters or tokens, you can use tokens for this as well, make sure that you still get some content from the next chunk as well. So you at least have the context of whatever you have found. This is obviously whatever you want. You can choose for 500, you can choose for 1,000 characters. You don't need to chunk by size. You can chunk with semantic search as well, where you say, I want all the chunks with the same meaning together and put them in one chunk. Or you can decide, I don't want my PDF files to be split into pages. I want them to be split into structure, per title, per subtitle, per paragraph, right? There are a lot of different ways to do this. I've tried a few of them, and I can tell you every single one has its ups and downs. It really depends on your use case. So for now, let's stick to the overlap characters, where we have 500 overlap characters. We have an array of chunks, and then we have our file name. I had to put in some replacing because I got a lot of errors on that. That's always the thing, right? If you make something from scratch. Then let's go on. We slice our pages, right? And we add characters. So I do it per page, right? I do one page for every chunk, and they give it 500 characters of the next page. That's how I chunked this, how I'm chunking now, right? Then you see the chunk actually here, right? You can see the ID. I'm abusing it a little bit. I'm not giving it a GUID or something, which you should. I'm giving it my source, where it's coming from. Because yeah, it was easy to make it like this, but it's also easy to make it differently. I just abused it. So yeah, this should be a GUID or something, right? To make it unique. And then put your page in the source, or like this. Do know though that the ID is something you need if you want to overwrite your chunks. Imagine that you have chunked a PDF file and someone from your company edits the PDF file, changes it, and tells you, hey, I changed it. You can put it back into the index, right? Obviously, they're not going to say it like that, right? But you probably have like an automated pipeline for this. I made it like that as well, where you see a change happening and Azure picks it up and puts it in the index. But to do that, you need to know which IDs you have to update. Otherwise, you have duplicated data in your index, right? So this is a really important part for making a better and more refined pipeline. But yeah, for now, this is perfect for a first attempt, right? Some console logs. Okay, then we have no more console logs, all good. We will see that as well when we try it out. And then you get to the process chunks. Okay, so you have made your chunks. Now you have to send them. Okay, so let's see. That's an action. It's a screen action, client action that I didn't copy paste yet. That's why we get this error. Let me put it in here. There we go. Processing chunks. What do we see? A message that it's processing. It deserializes the chunks. It puts them in a chunk list, the structure that we have built here, and it will send it to the index with the server action that we had made. Pretty simple, actually, right? If you see it like this, it's not too hard. So yeah, let's see if we can make it work. I do have to admit that I forgot to make a PDF file, so I have to create one together with you guys. Let's do that real quick. Word. There we go. I'm not sure if I get like a new file now. Yeah. This is a test sample. That's like this. I'm on 2 pages, right? Okay. This is another test sample. So with how we made it, we should get like one chunk with 500 characters overlap. So the first chunk is going to be everything. And the second chunk should be only this, because we don't have a third page, right? So that's how it should work. I didn't test like this yesterday. Gotta admit it. Can I choose? Oh yeah, of course. You have to save it like this, and then like this, and then it does work. Test. Let's save it on my. Let me see. I don't want to expose anything weird. And let's save it on my downloads folder or something, right? I think that's fine. Okay. Let's put it there. Okay, so we have this file now. Let's do this again. Let's open it and let's try it out in our app. There we go. So we made a new screen. Oh, yeah, I didn't add the screen in here. Right. Now I need the name of the screen, which was add data to index, I think, right? Right, cool. So select file. I put it here, no? Crazy. No, I have to look for it again. Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. Prune test. And now we sent the data. Let's pray that it works. I forgot to test this yesterday, so let's see. And let me go to. Oh, great. Library not loaded properly. That's a classic, right? I have my scripts. Oh, I forgot maybe to put the scripts in here. Yeah. So I have to also put it in here, otherwise, it's not doing anything, right? There we go. So you can also put it in your whole application. That will probably make more sense if you have different places where you want to do this. Or you can also use the require script node in the logic. I think it should be in here somewhere. Require script. You can also use this, right? So there's multiple ways to do this. I usually do it like this because I need a dedicated screen for this. Okay, let's try it again. Let's see if it works now. Let's hope it does. Pune test in here. There we go. Okay, cool. So these are the console logs that we used. We see it checks to number of pages, and you can see it found chunk 2, chunk 3, and found 44 characters and 26. It makes sense, right? Because it only took the last page in the chunk 3 here. So you can see the data in here. This is chunk 2, right? And then you see the other chunk in here. So yeah, makes sense. Cool. So this was saved. It's actually a really bad sample, so maybe our results will be kind of weird. But let's see in our index here if you already got it or not. Oh yeah, see, it's already added up to 5 now. So now we have 5 pieces of chunks. Well, pieces or chunks, right, in our index. Cool. That works. So far, so good. Love it. Last screen will be fetching it. That's going to be the biggest one, but not that complicated though. Let's call it a search index. Let me also copy paste this stuff just to save us some time. Let me go to the front end and steal everything from there. Can I maybe I should just steal the whole screen. That's maybe easier. Let's do that. Let's just copy paste the whole screen. There we go. There we go. Okay, cool. I just stole the whole screen. That's easier. So what do you have? A prompt and answers. Pretty simple, right? What's in there? Question, answer, updated on. So you will see when you have updated, and then it's loading, right? And then the action, retrieve, answer. What's in there? Well, not much. At least it doesn't look like much. Question again has to be filled in. Obviously, you can have multiple more validations. That was just to make sure I didn't click on it by accident. It's loading, and then we have our workbench. Yeah, there we go. I think OutSystems will be happy when they see this. I'm promoting the workbench. So I already prepared this one. I'm just going to show you what I made. Open it, please. Thank you. There we go. So what do we actually call? We call this the grounding. I hope everyone has seen this before. If not, I will just quickly explain it. Get grounding data means basically get your chunks or other data, all the data that you want to use in your prompting for your LLM. Build the messages. This is where you want to build your prompts to your LLM, like your system message, your role, your user input, maybe some history, like the previously sent messages, right? Then you have your call to the LLM. Now, I have set one up with my own LLM. You can use trials as well, I think. Let me see if I can find it in here. Trial. Yeah, there you go. You can also use trial LLMs. These are free, so these are pretty cool. You can use free stuff. I just always use my own. I can give you a tip. When you have OpenAI and you create a project in OpenAI, you can have 500,000 tokens for free on a daily base, or 2 million if you have a different kind of project, but I think it's more company-wise thing. But you have 500,000 free tokens if you just allow them to use your data that you sent through the project to learn and train their models. But if you only do it for simple things like this, right, where you just test randomly stuff, you can easily use that to get your free tokens, right? So you don't have to pay for it. But you can also use your company LLM, right? If you have that, it's not expensive. It's like a few dollars. So okay, cool. We have our LLM set up here. We can test the guest, test and see if it works. Hopefully it works. No, it works. Cool. It works. Nice. Perfect. What's in our grounding data? Yeah, there we go. These are the chunks. This is a service API, service action that goes back to my to my application. Yeah, I know that this is not best practice architecture. It's just for the demo purposes, right? Usually you pull it out of the two. But yeah, so it goes back to our service chain that we didn't make yet here. Let me make that quickly. How did we call it? Servers search data. Let's make this as, there we go. Cool. Let's publish this. So yeah, so it's gonna search the index all based on your user input. Then it will give it back as a response. The content is empty, so you make it back empty, so you're sure that it's only that. And then you cycle through the response and concatenate every chunk that you have found to the content. And then we put in the content also the question, so it has the question. Okay, so that's our grounding data, just content and question based on the chunks that we retrieved. And then in the messages, it's already pre-built by OutSystems. It checks if you have grounding data, and if you do have grounding data, it will add this system message, which says, here's a document, grounding data, only answer based on the context. This is basically the perfect sentence to describe RAG. Answer only answer based on the context, and the context is what we have provided, right? So that's basically it, right? It's pretty simple. RAG is not difficult. Okay, so that should work, right? Yeah. So let's test it. We have a screen. Let's test it. What is the name of the screen again? Because I don't have it in the menu. Let's go there. Now I have to remember what we added to the chunks, right? What was in the file actually, or maybe we can post what we added here. Testing. Okay, so let's test this one. See if we get something back. But you should know it's only answering based on the content, so maybe it doesn't give me anything back. Maybe I should do something with shallow life. Describe shallow life or something like that. Let's see if it works. This is development though, so you need to know that sometimes it will time out if you don't have it put on 60 seconds, because default is 10 seconds. Let's check the logs in the meanwhile. It's not like giving me errors, because I already think it's taking too long. And it gives me an error. Well, probably because I didn't put myself on 60 seconds, right? I'm that stupid. There we go. No. I'm telling you guys to do it and I don't do it myself. Classic. Let's publish this again, and I'm pretty sure this will be cancelled, so I have to refresh this. Let me copy paste this to do it again. So yeah, we have seen by now the whole pipeline actually, right? From say making an index or a container, saving data in it, fetching data in it by and then using it in an LLM to get a proper response. Well, at least I hope we get a proper response right now. If I do this again, the resources on the development environment have to wake up. So sometimes it's being annoying and it doesn't wake up properly and it times out. But sometimes I also make mistakes. That happens. See, there we go. That's from the previous one. See, so it times out and there we go. So what I'll say, I don't have enough context to provide a document that only contains question with no additional shallow life for rest. So this one book name. Please share the relevant context or text that you want to meet the description on. So I have the feeling that our chunks didn't come back. If I read this, at least you can see that the RAG itself works in the LLM. It doesn't give me anything back besides what we provided. So now I want to make sure that we got it back actually. So we have to debug it, I guess. Did I set the API key for it? I think I did, yeah. Let's try it out. Let's just debug it, right? Let's do it together. This is a nightmare for live demos, but you know. Okay, it won't be doing it there because it's an agent, right? So it will be like just this. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. Let's run it again and see where it. So now we're here in the build messages. We got our grounding data, and as you can see, grounding data is. Can I just open it, please? No. It's because it's too small. I can't open it. The question. Oh, there's nothing in it. Right, because the question still has to come. Oh yeah, there it is. User input, so that will be the question. But my grounding data is empty, I feel. But it finds the grounding data though. But it didn't add it. So we have a problem in here. I did something poorly here. Let me add the breakpoint there as well. And debug it again. Okay, cool. I could also debug it in here, I guess, to see if my search service works properly. Like, did I forget? Oh, there we go. See, that's what you get with hard-coded stuff, right? No, this is default. My bad. This is default, right? Remember the name. I told you guys it matters, and I forget it myself. That's so typical, right? Let me go also to here to check here. So this is fine. Now it works properly. We don't obviously had that semantic search configuration. So I suppose that. I hope that was a problem. Let me cancel the debug. Let's see if it just works from now. Let's do it again. Okay, so now we get something else back. See, and I'm pretty sure now it did work properly. But I can. Maybe I should say. Maybe if I put this. Well, I did really add some poorly added examples, right? So, my bad. Okay, let's debug it again. And see what it does, right? How much time do we have left? Yeah. I don't want to over debug this thing because it's just a small thing. Let's see. Okay, so we have our user input. Now do we get back here? Nothing. So there's something going wrong with the API call. Okay, so let's check that out. What did we do wrong here? Something stupid maybe. New index was fine, right? And we made our index. Well, I guess I can just show you the working example as well, right? Because I made that as well. Because I don't want to over debug it right now. I probably made some small mistakes on there. Application JSON, default semantic, that's fine. Let me see if maybe we can do it like this. Check this again, right? So you just go to this Postman directly. We put in here testing. I put in here default. Let's see what it does. That's a return item. So it's something in here that I messed up probably. Good question. Let's put in here an error handling and just save this. And put this in there and add breakpoint and publish this. Okay. I really wonder what I messed up. New index should be fine. Did I make a copy paste mistake maybe? Indexes, top search. No, it seems fine. Okay, let's debug this one. Debug this one. I have to type it in here. That's so stupid. Okay, there we go. So now we're in here. Let's go to the screen, which was rec chatbot, and test it, right? Um, what are we testing? Oh no. Okay, cool. So what are we testing? Now we get in here, but we didn't stop in here. Let's discuss here maybe. Keeping poorly, I think. Oh, that is not what we wanted to do. Vind je right, ChatBot? Do I? Okay, I've done something poorly. That I'm not sure what. I'm getting responses back from different environments, so I did something wrong. Well, anyway, let's not keep debugging it. It takes too much time. We see in a portion that it comes back, but I made some setup mistake somewhere in here. I can show you maybe the correct version, which is literally the same. Let me test it first. Test. Okay. No, not working either. All right. Anyway, so far the demo, we got our answers back from here. We know it works, but I made some setup mistakes somewhere in here. Probably some hard code mistake.
Yeah, no worries. But do you have a working like application or a demo uploaded in Forge regarding
Yeah.
this?
So everything I've shown you is already made. So if you go to the Forge, you will see that there's a RAG AI chatbot that has everything already inside of it. Basically, the same as what I show you. Also, you can see the chunks and what's coming back actually. So yeah, this is working and just needs some mistakes somewhere in the configuration, in the API calls.
Awesome. This is helpful. Yeah.
All right. Now I'm new and curious, right? But I guess I shouldn't keep looking. I'll do it later and let you guys know what I did wrong.
Yeah. So we have a question from Zabbu. He said that did you run into a file size limit in ODC?
So what did you say? Did you file any size
File
limits?
size issue.
Well, I guess there's like default file sizes for the upload widget, but I didn't hit them myself, and I used documents from multiple pages here. So I suppose our default size hits limit size, but I didn't hit any yet. But I guess there are like default ones for OutSystems itself.
Okay. Okay, if others have any question, they can put it in the chat. You have option to unmute as well. And
Oh
ask
my
the
goodness,
question.
our cooking shows and a live demo like this is not easy, so.
Yeah, the recording will be available in the YouTube channel. So we'll share the link in the post.
I will check my mistake and I will add it to. I'll give it to you, Shubham, and you can maybe put it into the explanation, just so no one else
Yeah.
makes the same mistake as I just did somewhere.
Yeah, I'll upload in the description of YouTube video if someone watches it. So they'll get it.
Perfect. All right, I think it's pretty clear, right?
Okay, in that case, if you don't have any doubts, I suggest you guys to do check out the previous session as well. It will be very helpful for you in the agentic AI certification, right? And yeah, this topic is also part of it. So yeah. Okay.